What's up everyone, welcome back to Karlova Design channel, and in this tutorial we are going to be making this compact backpack, which is a new version of one of my older patterns which was called Sloop. So this one is called Sloop 2, which is not very creative, I know. This backpack is relatively easy to make, it just does involve some time and work, but it's easy enough for a beginner. The things that are different from the first version are the closures, the proportions. I made it a little wider, and I think that's all. The pattern comes in A4, US letter, 24 inches wide format, SVG and DXF in case if you want to use a laser. The link to the pattern is in the video description, and you may want to go and browse through my other patterns because you might find something interesting that you would like to make as well. For the body we are going to use relatively soft crazy horse, which is about 1 millimeter. For the straps I'm going to use 2 millimeter vegetable tan, but I would recommend something a little bit heavier. This leather is about 3 millimeter, 3.5, but I think it's a little bit overboard, so I recommend 2.5 millimeter leather. You will also find all the material recommendations in the file that comes with the pattern. For the inner pocket I am using a piece of crazy horse that is a little bit different, but it's not going to be visible anyway. I am going to use my strap cutter to cut the straps. I think I've cut a little bit more than I need, but with this strap cutter is a bit hard to stop because it cuts so well. It was gifted to me by our local workshop and I absolutely love it. Now, if you want to go with the natural edges on the flaps, we need to find an appropriate edge on the hide that would look well with our shapes. So it might take some time to try and see how it comes out. I think I found a nice edge piece, so I'm gonna go with this one. And now I'm gonna do the same for the pocket flap. If you don't want to, or you don't have the appropriate natural edge at your disposal, you can just go with the shape on the pattern and do regular flaps. If you think that this handle is a bit short for you, you can feel free to make it slightly longer. I am measuring about 75 centimeters for the shoulder straps, but again, you can adjust the length to your liking. I'm going to skive a little bit at the ends of the D-ring holders and the shoulder straps, those ends that actually go under the strap reinforcement so they don't stick out too much and don't create too much bulk. Almost all of my patterns, I mean the bigger ones, are made for 5mm stitching irons, and this one is no exception. Don't forget to mark those two central holes on the flap, on the pocket flap, so you know where you have to insert the closure strap and the D-ring holder. And I'm going to skive the flap on the side of the seam a little bit because my leather is a little bit too heavy. Now I'm going to add a little distress or texture to the flap, not just because I wanted to vintagify it, but also I'm trying to make my logo a little bit more visible, which I don't think was a success, but anyway, here's the Antiqua to make it shine. If you want, you can install the grommets into the drawstring holes. I decided I did not really need them. Now all those little parts and little straps and all that small stuff needs some sanding and edge burnishing. I think it's a necessary part to make the backpack look neat. I'm also going to use Antiqua Super to make them all shiny. In this project we are going to use two button studs or what they called same brown studs for the closure on the pocket, and the second one will go to the closure strap on the main flap. And at this point I've decided I'm gonna just polish everything, just the whole backpack will be shiny. I just love this stuff. It's especially good on a crazy horse because it makes it glossy and sometimes shiny as a mirror. Let's stitch the gusset to the pocket. It's sewn with an overlapping stitch, the gusset being on top. You can do it differently, I just like to do it this way. Actually, this applies to the whole backpack because with this pattern you can use any type of seams. You can make it all turned or partially turned or whatever you want it to be. I also decided to use a new to me technique of stitching the pocket onto the body. It's also like a turned technique. It's not all that difficult as it seems because the pocket has one open side always, so you always can get to the inner side of the pocket. Just watch it closely and I'm sure you can repeat this at home. When stitching both flaps onto the body, keep in mind that the stitching lines on the body have one more hole on each end of the stitching line. So one stitch on each end goes over the edge of the flap. At the marked location, insert the closure strap and the D-ring holder, and don't forget the D-ring. Stitching the inner pocket is very straightforward. It doesn't have those extra holes on the end of the stitching lines, so you just stitch it as usual. Here we are going to need some rivets, and if you don't want to make a lot of noise, you can use Chicago screws. Before we stitch the sides, let's assemble the buckle holders. When assembling the buckle holders, remember that these things should be mirroring each other. Do not make them both in the same direction. And this is where the buckles should be facing when you stitch them in. Do a couple of stitches first before inserting the buckle holder. As I've mentioned before, you can also do these seams turned if you so desire. If you are making the overlapping seam like I am doing, just don't forget that the front goes on top of the back. And getting close to the end of that seam, do not forget to insert the second buckle holder. And I am going to be stitching the bottom in a turned style, so it's time to turn the whole thing inside out. Find the central marks on the sides of the bottom and align those holes with the side seams. stitching the main flap, again, don't forget that there is one extra hole on each side, so one stitch on each side will go over the edge. I am using some leather lace for the drawstring. The length should be somewhere around 35 to 45 inches. You can actually measure it yourself, wrapping around the backpack. This is it, our backpack is ready. The link to the pattern is in the video description. If you enjoyed this tutorial, you can like, share, comment and even subscribe to my channel so you will not miss my new tutorials. Also visit karlovadesign.com for some unique leatherworking projects that you will not find anywhere else. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one.